Pizza Guy is with us first, listening in Fargo, North Dakota. Hello, Pizza Guy.
Yeah, I was recently inspired by a conversation you guys were having about condescension the other day, and I just kind of wanted to touch on that topic a little bit here.
All right, sure.
I don't think I like your tone.
I think I think it was Liberty Phoenix or somebody who was saying how everybody says he sounds condescending and he doesn't know what to do. And I actually, in my teenage years, had a lot of problems with that, where everybody said that I thought I was so much smarter than everybody else, and I was always talking down to them. And what I kind of came to realize over the years is that I am smarter than everyone. And by treating them like my peers, they felt like I was talking above them or over their heads, and that led to condescension. Being condescending. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so and I think this might be a lot of people's problems who end up being told that they're condescending, is that what they're really trying to do is assume, because I had always assumed, I didn't realize that most people are less intelligent than I am. It just was something that never clicked because I'm a solipsistic narcissist to boot. So why wouldn't everybody else be exactly like me? And I mean, if you think about it, if you're even in the top third of intelligence of people, most people you meet will be less intelligent than you.
Well, I have to say,
right?
This conversation has not really forwarded the idea of not being condescending. What you're saying is you can't help it. You're saying that any time you talk to somebody, you condescend, whether you are talking above them or talking down to them. You truly do believe you're better than everyone else.
Well, what I'm saying is that sometimes the only way to avoid being condescending is to do what you may believe is talking down to people, because by bringing yourself down to their level and talking down at their level, then they don't feel talked down to. Well, in fact, in reality,
I can't relate to this, but Mark, I'm sure, can, because I don't believe I am any better than anyone else. But Mark certainly believes he is.
Most people, I think that the best way to communicate with them is to try to keep a smile on your face. Not a big, fake cheerleader smile, but
grunts, smoke signals. Is that what we're getting at there?
You speak to them as though you're happy to talk to them, and of course you have to explain the things you're saying, because there's so many terms out there.
And it just seems like you're patronizing.
You have to explain what you're saying, no matter what. If somebody says, "Look, after you've explained 2 or 3 different things to them, they suggest that you up the level a little bit. Fine, up the level a little bit, and just let me know if I need to explain something to you. That's fine." My practice of dealing with Ian by trying to make him smarter by yelling at him is a really bad one. But it is sadly the system that I have developed over time for Ian specifically. And I really, really wonder to myself many times whether he does this crap on purpose or whether he's really, that dense.
What are you talking about?
Right, that exactly. Like he went to the smart kids school. You think he'd be able to swim in like somewhere near the deep end, but sometimes not at all. But I think you've got. What's that?
It's just hyper solipsism.
What does that mean?
I don't know what that means.
That means that basically that you feel the way you view and experience the world is the same way that everybody else views and experiences the world. And so you have a hard idea thinking that other people can think. Okay, well, it seems for me, and I've been listening to you guys for a long time, that when people don't see it your way, that you don't understand it. And that's why you don't understand when you're being condescending, because you feel, and because I make these same mistakes all the time, you feel like you're talking to them at their level, right? And they feel like they're being talked down to, and you say, well, what's the big deal? I'm not being condescending, because your intention, and you know your intention, and because you're a solipsist, you believe that other people would naturally know what your intention is, because you whether you know it or not, can't fathom that they have a thought, or that they don't know what you're thinking. Does that make sense?
I think it's. I guess I understand where you're coming from, but I certainly don't have any preconceived notion that all people think the same way as I do. That's ridiculous. All people are very different. People have come to the table with different experiences, different life dramas and stories, and they all have very different ways of interpreting life. And so I don't know what made you think that way, but I don't.
I often find the condescension thing is a refuge for those that don't wish to think about the topic you're looking at. Now, I think there's a great argument coming from the other side that there's no such thing as a dumb person, right? Like that there's people with different abilities in different areas. I don't know how to articulate which areas it is that I believe are important and in a given conversation and which ones aren't. I think it's an interesting conversation, right? Like there's supposedly 9 areas of intelligence. Then I read some study out of, I think it was Nova or something like that. I read a lot of science magazines when I was in prison because I didn't have anything else to do. There apparently some Harvard study had said there were 17 areas of intelligence, and that was some time ago. I may have the number wrong. But when you're talking about somebody who's performing if there's 20 areas of intelligence and you're talking about somebody who performs in the top 5% of those areas, and that if you, of course, claim that a person can have only one area of intelligence, which is ludicrous, then you would have everybody would be a genius in some particular area. This Temple Garand gal who, believed that she thought like animals and believes that she thinks like animals or whatever, maybe she's a genius at designing slaughterhouses, which is what she's, done to some extent. That's great, but, she may not be a real genius at, discussing other people's emotions.
Any final thoughts, Pizza Guy? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, just in my personal experience, and so this is what helped me, is that when I started talking down to people is when they stopped telling me I was condescending. And it helped when I read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which I kind of read as like the most evil black book of vile disgustingness about being condescending to people that I had ever read. But
Pizza
when I
Guy, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.